3 days later. Friday afternoon, October the 7th. Having ended our 5th and final day of the week together, Suoh and I parted ways at the parking lot above Karasu's headquarters. We had completed our assignment for the week on Thursday, gone out together every single day, trained together every single night, and we're now almost at the end of our first week together. And as much as I look forward to our rest, truth be told, I had never been happier. On the job, Suoh and I showed that we could work together, or at least not hinder one another. We disposed of the tubby creep with relative ease, considering it was Suoh's real first assignment since coming on board, and there were no major slip-ups to speak of. Although he's still very much an amateur, Suoh's task was a success, and he showed once again that he's capable of walking down our path. More importantly, at least to me, Suoh and I have been getting along well outside of work. I was a little peeved that he refused to take me to the circus, but otherwise, there was no friction of any kind. I thought he did take it to the circus. He didn't give up or talk down to me, like most people do when they realize I can't speak. He went along with my whims, and never once complained about being forced to spend time with me. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, or just misinterpreting his kindness, but if I didn't know any better, I'd say Suoh's actually been having fun. This was all my father's idea, so I wouldn't blame Suoh if he wanted to bail out on me, or spend his time doing something else. But so far, I haven't gotten that impression in the least. Even if 1 week isn't long enough to tell for sure, it's definitely a good start. Another couple of weeks like this, and Suoh might even consider me a friend. I headed towards Karasu's office in order to meet up with my father. Although I didn't know for sure if he'd be there, history made it a rather educated guess. Besides, even if he wasn't, Karasu would likely know where he was, meaning the trip would be still worthwhile. Bracing myself for the blinding light beyond the heavy steel door, I entered Karasu's office. Speak of the devil. Once my eyes adjusted to the light, I found both Karasu and my father waiting for me. Welcome back, Misa. Did you have fun today? While we didn't do anything noteworthy, I did have fun wandering around town with Suoh. More importantly, I gleaned a few potential locations for our next outing from storefronts and advertisements, so I'm willing to write today off as a precursor to a proper outing. Of course she did. It's like I keep telling you, children need friends their own age. Misa is 17. She's almost an adult. So, even if Misa is almost an adult age-wise, she's still a child at heart, and children need playmates. Isn't that right, Misa? Bemused by Karasu's assertion that I was a child, I could only glare in response. While he wasn't wrong about me wanting friends my own age, or even just friends in general, I couldn't help but feel like I was being mocked. It's because he says it in this, like mocking way, and the words that he used, oh, Misa needs a playmate. That makes it sound like she's 5-year-old, Oops, I made Misa angry. You are pretty good at annoying people. One of these days, you're going to piss off the wrong person, and when that happens, my good friend Sai will protect me, right? Yeah, probably. Unless I'm the one you piss off, of course. Scary thoughts. But if that happens, Misa will protect me. Won't you, my child? Ha ha ha. It looks like you aren't as well protected as you thought. Maybe you should tease Misa and I a little less. Perhaps you're right. It would be beneficial for me not to invoke Misa's ire. My apologies, Misa. Even if you are one of my children, you are not a child. I'll try to stop treating you like one. Wow. An actual reasonable boss that knows the position that he's in? Because normally people that are above you in rank will try to abuse that status at all cost, but Karasu kind of knows his place, right? Sure, he is the boss of Sai and Misa and all of these other people, but you have to realize that Karasu is not, when you're looking at what those people are like capable of, Karasu is dependent on Sai, Misa, and all these other people that work for him. That is his power, right? That's Karasu's power. Like, his status is just that he's the boss. He's to say like, okay, you guys kill this person and that person dies. But if he pisses off those people that are working for him, what is Karasu's power? It's just not much, really. Like, sure, he's a crime lord or just, the leader of this whole organization, but still, you are still dependent on the people that do the quote-unquote dirty work for you. And especially the people closest to you. I mean, Misa and Sai are like the two closest to him, and they are like his best trained professional killers. So he's gotta be keeping them close and keep the relationship on a good level. Because if you piss them off, you're probably you become a lot weaker as Karasu. So yeah, it's good to see that he actually realizes that. That's more like it. No, Misa is my child, not yours. And where's my apology? I put up with more of your crap than anyone. Your apology? Oh, Sai, you say the funniest things. Figures. An hour or so after meeting up with Karasu and my father, I returned to my hotel room to eat dinner and shower. The lunch Suoh and I enjoyed was not enough to last me the entire day, and I had undeniably worked up a sweat. What is a sweat? So returning home before the usual meeting seemed like the logical thing to do. I took the time to slowly chew my food, mindful of giving myself indigestion. There was still ample time before the meeting, so I was in no rush. I also washed and brushed my hair thoroughly, lest I allow it to become a tangled, greasy mess again, and before I knew it, I was ready to leave once more. It's a little sad that returning to work is the first thing on my mind when I have free time. Normal teenagers probably spend their Friday nights among friends or going out and enjoying themselves. But me? I skulk around dark corridors and hang out with career criminals. Yay me. On the bright side, I do get to see my father more often on nights like this. Some of our time together is also shared with Karasu, who teases my father mercilessly at every opportunity, making for plenty of light-hearted amusement. Since we have a meeting, I'll get to see Suoh as well, as if we didn't already spend the day together. So even though I may not spend my Friday nights like other teenagers, at least I'll be among people who accept me. As I opened the door to Karasu's office, I was once again greeted by the sight of Karasu and my father. Unlike last time, however, neither of them smiled as I entered. Instead, they both looked at me in surprise, as though they didn't expect me to return. I closed the door behind me, as I wondered what was going through their minds. After a few moments of contemplation, however, I eyed something far more interesting, and cast aside any such thoughts. Good evening, Misa. What moment is this specifically? I can't remember Suoh ever being dressed like this. Did we ever see him in this freaking shirt? It's like he just, it has to be a bit more orange, I guess. I thought it was like a jumpsuit, like he just broke out of jail or something. Beside Karasu and my father was the boy I had parted from mere hours ago. I mean, it is a while since I've played, the original routes, so it's really, even though there's actual dates with the events, like October the 7th, I can't quite remember what happened on this date though. So even though this might have happened in some of the normal routes as well, I can't exactly remember what happened and why Suoh is here, but we'll find out. Truthfully, I wasn't surprised to see him. With Suoh potentially breaking into Adder with us, he would no doubt be spending plenty of time with Karasu and my father. Did it really happen that fast? A week after Suoh and Misa hung out, did they already ask him to be involved in the whole Adder business? I thought it happened a little bit later. But yeah, as I mentioned, it's been a while, so my entire timing with all the dates and when what happened is really off. Even so, I had to admit, it was a rather pleasant turn of events. Misa, maybe you can help us fill in some gaps. Fill in some gaps? No, okay. Now that's rare. Although I hate to admit it, there's very little I could hope to inform these two of. Were Karasu and my father perhaps grilling Suoh about this week's work? Or about our outings? When you get married, how many kids do you plan on having? Huh? Married? No, wait. Kids? What kids? Who's having kids? What the hell kind of conversation did I just walk into? What do you think you're asking, my daughter? Okay, next question. What do you plan on naming your first son? Because as I already explained before you arrived. That's enough out of you. Okay, this sounds eerily familiar. No sooner had Karasu given me a heart attack than my father removed him from the room. The lively scene from seconds ago had ended, leaving only Suoh and I behind. Huh? I turned toward Suoh, hoping he might fill me in on what I missed. Seriously, I was gone for an hour or two, and this awaits me? Just what went on while I was gone? While I awaited Suoh's response, he appeared to be in deep thought. I can only imagine it because it's kind of funny, being on the other side now. Because I'm pretty sure this is an event that happened in the normal route as well, or at least perhaps the Misa route. And I can just imagine, considering how long I always think about my choices, I can just imagine if that were to actually play out in real time, and now we're experiencing it from Misa's perspective, that Misa is just looking at Suoh for 10 minutes straight because I'm actually, I'm thinking out loud, I should respond to Misa in this way, and then Misa's actually in real time waiting for me to freaking respond because I take so long. Come on, is it really that difficult to figure out what I want to know? Well, to be honest, I came here to see you. Why are you here was not the question I had in mind, but that answer does make me happy. I had some free time, and I wasn't sure how to get in contact with you, so I came here. Though, maybe I shouldn't have bothered, since we'll be seeing each other during the meeting anyway. Suoh seemed to be somewhat embarrassed as he spoke. Nonetheless, I couldn't sense any deceit behind his words, nor did I resent his unexpected visit. If anything, his awkward honesty gave an overwhelming sense of relief. He came here early, just to see me. Even though we had spent all day together, even though he's been spending time with me at my father's command, he still took the initiative to see me. Was my previous hope correct all along? Has Suoh actually been enjoying our time together? Anyway, as I was saying, Suoh, surely you didn't come here just to entertain your boss, did you? Before I could mull over Suoh's motives any further, Karasu and my father returned. Judging by my father's words, it seems as though Suoh hadn't been present long. Either that, or Karasu went off on an obscure tangent the moment Suoh showed up. Oh, about that. Actually, I was thinking that I really don't have any way to contact you guys. I had some free time, so I thought... You don't need to contact us. We'll contact you. My father immediately shut Suoh down, without even waiting to hear him out. I see. Now, don't be like that. Long gone are the days when we needed to be wary of phone tapping and transmission interception. As long as you don't mind utilizing hardware and software designed in-house, we can get in contact securely whenever you want. Karasu and my father began unloading technical jargon onto Suoh, who didn't appear to understand a word of it. Truthfully, although I had some self-study on the subject after hearing their explanation, I still wasn't entirely sure what it all meant. All I really grasped was that the fancy devices Karasu supplied us with were secured adequately and useless outside of his playground. And I'll handle the private key generation. We wouldn't want Sai to accidentally assign the same key twice. Key generation? I don't remember the specifics, but that's to do with how data is encrypted and decrypted, right? Don't worry, I won't let Papa Sai spy on your private messages. Like I do that. Yep, nailed it. So the person generating the keys could theoretically spy on the people using them, meaning Karasu. That's a little unsettling. Even if I've done a little more than take photos and play games, I can't say I like the idea of Karasu looking over my shoulder. But, to be honest, that happens with every fucking single thing that you do. No matter what you do on the internet, people, at least someone in this world, will know what the hell you did. Yep, they know all your dirty little secrets. Anyway, you two kids go play. Mama and Papa need to have a little conversation. Right. Mama and Papa? Who's the mama in that particular scenario? Once Suoh left, I returned yet again. I actually would think that Karasu would be the mama, and then Suoh, not Suoh, Sai would be the papa. Papa Sai, right? Papa Sai. Once Suoh left, I returned yet again, explaining how he needed to go pick up his sister from a school event. We met up once more in the meeting room. We waited around a while, slowly being accompanied by our co-workers, until at last the meeting began. Has anybody heard of Violet or Vincent? By the time Kane spoke up, everybody else was present, aside from the two he just mentioned. Much to my delight, Violet was not present, nor was Vincent, so this is about the time when they both disappear. We delayed the meeting in anticipation of their arrival, giving them more than enough time to show up late. However, our collective patience was not without limits, and we could only wait for them for so long. Well, it's not like either of them was assigned a particularly high-profile target. They probably just couldn't make it. It wouldn't be the first time. Their entire methodology relies on playing games of seduction. It can take time. In other words, those sleazebags are too busy flirting to actually do their damn jobs. It's bad enough that they resort to such filthy tactics. Can't they at least show up on time? Or call in to say that they can't make it? It's funny how Misa, considering how it's a job that she doesn't particularly like herself, it's funny how serious she takes it though, because she really does, I feel like she takes pride almost in how she does her job. Not that she does her job, I don't think she takes pride in killing people, but she takes pride in how she does it in the professional sense, That's it to her, right? It's just about to her it's a job, and it's a job that she's good at, so she wants to do it in a good way and in her own good way, and she does it in a quite professional and skillful way. And that's why I feel like she resents Violet and Vincent, because they resort to what she calls filthy tactics, like flirting with the target and then seducing them, and then that's when they kill them. But they're not that I don't know, it's just a different way of approaching it. But as a professional, I can see that Misa would be like, "Cheh, that's dirty tactics or filthy tactics or bad tactics," So it's kind of funny that despite the fact she doesn't like doing it per se, she still takes it quite seriously, the skill and art of it at least, if you could even call it that, the skill and art of killing people. What use is having these fancy phones if nobody makes use of them? If nobody has heard from them by Sunday, their work will be reassigned. Showing no concern or patience, my father ushered things along. Anyway, no use worrying about it now. As Leon said, it wouldn't be the first time. Let's just get on with the show, shall we? Get on with the show? Why do we even come to these meetings? There's no need for that. I've already spoken to all 4 of you before tonight. Without the others present, there is no need for this meeting to continue. Meeting adjourned. I can totally imagine Sai just, smashing a gavel. Like, boom, boom, meeting adjourned. 30 days later. This is what I'm talking about. I was expecting for there. I definitely remember there were several, large time jumps. Sunday night, November the 6th. Approximately 5 weeks have now passed since my first outing with Suoh. 5 weeks of daily rendezvous, nightly training, and commission kills. Every day I have been watching over Suoh closely, sometimes by his side, sometimes from the shadows. We have trained together, traveled together, eaten together, and even killed together. Wow, that's a relationship goal, right? That's a funny thing. It's a relationship goal for them, Normal couples oh yeah, training together is probably, it depends on the type of couple that you are. If you work out a lot, then training together could be a relationship goal or a couple goal. Traveling together is definitely a common relationship goal. Eating together, yeah. But killing together, that's a relationship goal only specific to Suoh and Misa. And after 5 weeks of walking side by side, indulging in one-sided conversations, and learning how to communicate with one another, I can say one thing with certainty. I have never been happier. From the very beginning, I had wished for a friend. Someone with whom I could spend my time, either idling away the hours or hitting the streets in search of amusement. A person who wouldn't find me a bother to be around, or grow frustrated with my inability to talk. Someone who would try to understand me and confide in me in return. So this is the second time where she says her inability to talk. So she actually can't talk. The reason why she hasn't mentioned yet. I don't know if she will, but this basically because before you could kind of think it's either she can't talk, she's incapable of doing so, or she chooses not to. But I guess it's safe to say that she doesn't choose to, she just really can't talk for some reason. So that's the awesome thing about looking at things from different perspectives, because that's why you get to from Suoh's perspective, we can only make those assumptions. It's either she chooses not to talk or she can't talk, but now we actually come to learn that she just can't talk. But now I'm interested, of course, in the reason why. I sought a true friend, not a comrade of convenience, not an unwilling ally, and not an unsuspecting accomplice. I wanted a friend who would spend time with me because they wanted to, someone I could be around without walking on eggshells, who would see past my criminal career and merciless actions. And after years of searching, pining over my apparently hopeless goal, at long last, I found one. While it's true that Suoh was forced to meet with me, he seemed surprisingly complacent from the start. I would have thought that he would resent me. Surely a person being threatened by my father would display fear and distrust towards me, if not hatred. Instead, every step of the way he has defied my expectations, proving to be a more easygoing and kind person than his new career would indicate. Of course, it's not all about Suoh. My life has not stopped for his sake, nor could I see myself taking on greater risks to save him. Rather, what has taken hold of me so closely is what I sought from the beginning, despite never knowing just what to call it. Friendship. A companion. Happiness. Excitement. A reason to live. Whatever I decide to call it, Suoh has proven to me that even a despicable murderer like me can obtain it. And now that I have, I no longer lay awake at night wondering what my life might become. I don't sulk in solitude, mulling over the possibility of turning my life around. Those were the actions of a depressed teenager, seeking a new life because she was dissatisfied with what she had. Melancholy thoughts birthed by a longing for change or excitement. And with those mental blocks weighing me down, I could achieve nothing. Every day I would wake up without a sense of purpose or any kind of goal. Even on days when I had work, I would quickly lose whatever enthusiasm I fabricated upon the completion of my task. But for now, for the first time in many years, that is not the case. When I wake up in the morning, I actually look forward to the day ahead. Without realizing it, I've been taking better care of myself. I've been remembering to eat, bathing every day, brushing my teeth twice a day, and sleeping soundly. In such a short amount of time, I've returned to normality. I've shaken off the self-loathing and depression haunting me and started to become the cheerful girl I once was. I have regained whatever value my own negativity once stole away. When I wished for a friend, I never thought things would turn out like this. I just wanted someone to talk to me, someone to spend time with, and show me that I wasn't alone. But now, after finally gaining a friend of my own, I've remembered why it's so important to have people close to you. Even if I've proven myself capable of living on my own, it took the presence of a second person to keep me on track. I needed a routine, consequences, and expectations, a reason to wake up each morning, and someone to notice if I hadn't bathed all week. I needed to be around someone else, to remember who and what I wanted to be. Despite living in the shadows, I am still a human being, a teenage girl like any other. I need friends and family. I need structure. I need to embrace modern society. I need a normal life. Entrenched deep in thought and self-reflection, I made my way to Karasu's office. Half an hour remained before a Sunday night meeting would take place, so I opted to seek out my father rather than heading straight into the meeting room. Ah, Misa, I was wondering when you would show up. Sorry I couldn't meet you for lunch earlier. While we hadn't made any particular plans to eat together, my father often tried to make time on the weekend to visit me. As always, however, he was too busy to do so, meaning it fell onto me to visit him instead. Really now? Is that any way to treat your own child? It's important that you spend quality time together. Oh, if you're the expert, then why have two more of your children run away? Someone ran away? Are they talking about Violet and Vincent again? A few weeks ago, both Violet and Vincent failed to show up to a meeting and made no contact with anyone on the team. Afterwards, they both showed up once more, claiming that they were too busy reeling in their targets to make contact. But 2 nights ago, they failed to show up yet again, and judging by my father's remark, it would seem they were yet to check in. The meeting hasn't started yet, and those two are often late. It's too early to say if they've run away or not. Unfortunately, Karasu is right. As happy as Violet's permanent disappearance would make me, there's no way I could be so lucky. If they don't show up tonight, I'm cutting down your workload from now on. We can't afford to waste time dealing with insubordination right now. Understood. This week might be problematic, since we accepted work under the assumption that they would be here, but going forward, it shouldn't be an issue. Sparing no sentiment for my missing coworkers, Karasu and my father began planning for the future. With almost 3 months remaining until the proposed adder infiltration, we could afford to adjust the time frame and plans a few times before we begin cutting it close. Furthermore, Suoh and I had been averaging a paltry 1 or 2 targets a week between us, so we could easily pick up any slack in the immediate future. As far as I was concerned, we were still on schedule. Two days later. Tuesday night, November the 8th. As the sun finished setting and the time for training crept up on me, I found myself strangely restless. A lot had happened over the past 2 days, and even with ample time to think over the events which has transpired, I couldn't make sense of it all. First on Monday, I introduced Suoh to a doctor with the happy old man. He had been suffering intermittent pain for at least a few weeks, and yesterday he finally asked for my help. Later that day, we went shopping together after I tried on some of his sister's clothes. And just as my father once suggested, I was able to get Suoh to buy me some new clothes. That's true. Sai actually did say that at the beginning. Far nicer than what I usually wear. I only chose a single dress, and we encountered trouble before that as Suoh ran into some people he knew, but nonetheless, it was a worthwhile trip. Before all that, back on Sunday night, Suoh received a phone call from my father. We also received several targets for the week, and we were informed that Violet and Vincent may not be coming back. Whether or not I'm that lucky, only time will tell. That more or less covers Sunday and Monday, and despite being eventful days, they were both straightforward enough. Nothing confusing there, unless I begin to ponder the disappearances of my hopefully former co-workers, and nothing worth getting worked up over. No, the true beginning of the confusion was today. After walking into the home of one of our targets, Suoh and I found ourselves cursed by a ghastly smell. We headed back to his house, entered his bathroom, and... Oh, Misa, what you thinking about, girl? Bathed together. We entered the bathroom, stripped down to our underwear, and bathed together. Without a second thought, we rinsed off, scrubbed each other's backs, and focused on ridding ourselves of the foul odor. Oh God, I can't believe I actually did that. Bathing with people of the same gender is one thing, but to actually strip down to my underwear in front of Suoh like that. The fumes must have gone to my head. Clearly I was rendered temporarily insane. Ordinarily, I would never, ever do anything that shameless. If I were in my right mind, that never would have happened. And yet... Aww. I shifted around on the couch as my thoughts turned to later in the day. Wanting to get rid of the bad smell is a given. It's a completely logical response to an unwanted presence. But when it comes to what happened after that, what excuse is there? Why was I so desperate to stop Suoh and my father from arguing? Because we know what happens if you don't. If you don't, Suoh either walks away or Sai actually kills Suoh. Was it because I was the central point of their arguments? Was I feeling guilty that my inability to talk led to the two of them making assumptions on my behalf? Maybe I just wanted the two of them to stop acting like they knew what I wanted, whether they were correct or not. Whatever the case, what's bothering me now isn't that they were fighting or that I broke them up. No, what I can't help but ponder now is why I was crying. I guess because they are the two people that are the closest to her in her life, you know? And I guess it's just a normal human thing to want to have those two people that are closest in your life, to have those people at least get along in a decent way, you know? To not hate each other's guts or to act that way towards each other. Like, Misa doesn't have many people that she likes or that she's very close with, you know? It's actually only her father, Karasu, I guess, to a certain extent, and then there's Suoh. So it's not unreasonable for her to want her father and Suoh to at least get along, you know, on a normal level. I love my father. I always have. He's not perfect. He works too hard. He rarely comes to see me, and his priorities are always wrong. Above all, he's single-handedly responsible for the death of my mother. Oh wow. And neither one of us will ever forget that. Even so, he has always done his best to provide for me. Whether he truly understands my wishes or not, he's always looking out for my best interest. No matter how many grudges I hold against my father, he's definitely someone I could cry over. When it comes to Suoh, however, I moved around once again, trying to get comfortable without actually getting up. Suoh. Huh? Now he's a bit hard to figure out. We're friends. Best friends, in fact. At least as far as I'm concerned. We're also co-workers, and in all likelihood, the only people in the city who could understand what is going or what the other is going through. But to actually cry for this boy whom I've known for less than 2 months, that I cannot understand. Why should I care about what he says and does, or what happens to him? I sought the friendship of someone, not Suoh in particular. Even if he were to die, it wouldn't be the end of the world. It's her. This is the beginning of Misa, developing feelings beyond friendship for Suoh. I feel like it definitely started out that way. She just wanted a friend. Didn't really matter who, just a friend, a person that she can do normal things with that any other normal teenager in her life, her age would do, and just start from there, and actually develop human relationships, friendships, and just that would be a good start for her. But I guess she just never thought it into developing beyond that, because for her, having a friend is already like a big deal, and for normal people it wouldn't really be that way. For people, normal people actually start to sometimes look beyond friendship, but I feel like Misa actually hasn't, because she, friendship was already such a big deal for her. She probably wouldn't even dare to think about anything beyond that. But now that it's actually starting to get beyond that point, she's like, wow, what is this, She's starting to realize it a little bit, or at least think about it. It might take a while, but I could find someone else to fill his shoes. At the end of the day, it's not like I actually care about him. Oh, you do, Misa. Do I? Setting aside my own conclusions for a moment, I tried to think back over my own experiences from an outside perspective. When Suoh asked me for my help, I was happy to be relied on. For someone like me, whose only role in the lives of the others is to kill, being asked for help was embarrassingly gratifying. Mixed in with that elation, however, I was also worried. This boy, who had lurched forward while clutching his chest on the first night I stalked him, needed medical attention. I was worried, despite telling myself that I didn't care about him in the least. Why is that? Then there's the incident at the mall, where 2 teenagers confronted Suoh. They said some pretty awful things, and it didn't take long to figure out that they were on negative terms with Suoh. But rather than get angry over their assertions, or feel anxious about leaving, instead I found myself relieved. Horrible though it may sound, I was relieved to witness Suoh's human side, and to see that I wasn't the only one with troubles. A boy my own age, in my own profession, with a similar home situation and similar circumstances, shown to be just as vulnerable and human as me. I felt a sense of solidarity. So is that all it was? Concern and solidarity? Unfortunately, I don't have enough knowledge about this stuff to draw any such conclusion. All I can do right now is pray that things go more smoothly from now on, and take this new life of mine one day at a time.